To the Deputy Chair for the next question.
Right, yes, thank you. The first question is in the name of Assembly Member Johnson, Homes for Londoners or Investors.
Yes, Darren, thank you very much. Obviously the answer is I do think that our housing strategy does provide the homes that Londoners need. And we've done 67,000 affordable homes so far. We're well on course to deliver 100,000 over the two mayoral terms. But it's not a question of so much of the type as of the quantity. We must deliver more homes, all told, and that is the biggest and best solution to a lot of the controversies and the discontents around housing at the moment.
Looking at the implementation of your housing policies through some of your planning decisions. For example, you signed off on a 37-storey tower block called One the Elephant last November. There's 284 flats there, no affordable housing whatsoever in those 284 units. And in fact, the developers said they wouldn't get as much money for the flats if the buyers had to mix with Londoners living in affordable housing. Is this acceptable?
Well, I don't think that that's exactly what the developers said, but what they have undertaken to do, and what they are doing, is to build affordable homes off-site, and that is, as you know, a regular solution to the problem of building affordable homes in London. It's not one that we necessarily always encourage. In fact, in general, I like to see a mixture. I like to see mixed communities. I like to see affordable homes on site as far as possible. And certainly what I don't like to see is developers saying, "Oh well, we'll give the council this dosh for the affordable. You have that," and then actually what happens is that the councils concerned don't use it to build affordable homes, and that we are fighting that practice tooth and nail.
But is this approach really acceptable? You said you don't really like it, and that you want to see mixed developments. Well, you have the overall planning policy-making powers through your London plan and through your housing strategy. Yeah. You have the planning decision-making powers on these large developments. Are you not going to clamp down on this sort of abuse of the planning process?
Let's be clear. What we're doing is allow development to go ahead that would otherwise have been stalled. I think it's remarkable, given the crunch that we had, the freeze in credit, the difficulties that the banks went through, the huge deficit the country experienced, that we were able to deliver a record number of affordable homes. But you cannot get these developers to move unless they have the funds coming in, and that very often means having market housing leading the project. You must have market housing leading the project, and that is, I'm afraid, a fact of life. And that is the way to get more homes built. The answer is, in my view, to put our land in as we've done. We've put, I think, more than £1 billion worth of public land has been made available. I think possibly more than 2 billion now actually has been made available for development since May last year. Make the public land available, get the developers to accelerate, give them a kind of use it or lose it threat. Tell them they've got to get on with it, and that is something that will you're starting to see much more building going on in London now. And the reason it hasn't been going on, quite frankly, is because of the credit crunch, a huge amount of market apprehension, and people's difficulty in getting mortgages. I want housing of all kinds. I want housing for social rent, I want affordable rent, I want stuff for market rent, and I want part by part rent.
You say you want housing of all kinds, but so often we're seeing more and more luxury developments and not enough affordable housing. And this attitude from developers that the affordable housing should either be tucked away somewhere with a separate entrance and separate lifts and so on, or off-site somewhere else. It's like something out of the Edwardian era, out of Downton Abbey or something like that, where the poor servants have one entrance and the wealthy have another entrance.
Well, that was a practice, by the way, that was started ruthlessly under the Labour government. That was they all sat there like puddings while it began. Absolutely, the idea that you'd have separate. That's absolutely the case.
I've complained about all governments doing that.
I'm afraid because of the service charges and the way things work on some of these developments, I'm afraid that is an inevitability. But what you are at least getting is more affordable homes. And you're getting more homes full stop. And if you didn't get that investment, if you didn't have the developers' confidence that they could go ahead with these developments, then we would be in an even bigger crisis than we are now. I fully accept that the number one issue facing our city is a shortage of housing. But I think that if you impose extra requirements on developments, if you say that they've got to be 100% affordable and you make their plans uneconomic, you will simply fail to deliver the housing that you want.
So are you going to do anything at all to clamp down on developers with these unacceptable type of housing
because
projects?
Are
you going to do anything at all?
Well, it depends what you mean. I regularly kick out schemes that don't have enough affordable homes. If that's what you mean, then the answer is yes.
Are you going to use your planning powers to insist on genuinely mixed developments?
I always insist on genuinely mixed developments.
And One the Elephant was an example of that, was it?
Where that is not possible, we have off-site affordable homes. You cannot allow the best to be the enemy of the good. Under the programs that we've been following, we've actually built more affordable homes, and the vast majority of them are in mixed communities, and that is the way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I hand the chair back.